Tell us when the first time you felt pain was. Let's talk about that today on this episode of Outside Shots. Welcome into another episode of Outside Shots. I'm Saul Bookman. Filling in for the one and only Eddie Johnson is my guy, Devon Givens from PHLY Sixers. Thanks for joining me today, man.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it. I don't know that I can shoot like Eddie Johnson, but I mean, we had some fun in Las Vegas on the Papa Shot. So,
yeah,
we had some good conversations about Papa Shot, some other things.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
I'm sure he wouldn't mind me sitting in his chair today.
Did you enjoy your time with EJ?
I did. Yeah.
You did?
We talked about a lot.
Wow.
In between some things he was doing, some things that obviously we were doing with the Sixers. It was a good conversation, some fun conversation.
Did you get to the point where he talked a lot of trash?
Just when the Papa Shot rep, who was right there with us, I had posted, I think it was in 96 on my first try. And I think the rep had told me after the fact that the high was 98.
Oh.
And then I didn't know. I just started shooting and I got hot a little bit and everybody else started paying attention. And then Eddie was behind us doing his show. After the fact, he asked me how much I had, and I told him 98. He was like, well, I had 101, so you still have some work to do. So a little bit of trash talk right there from Eddie Johnson. And I never had a chance to try to break that record.
That is not a shock at all, that he would find a way to talk trash to somebody that basically, was it the first time you ever met him?
This is the first time we had, officially met.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool, though. I mean, I felt like he welcomed me in with the trash talk, so I was good. He made it personable, and it was good.
Definitely part of the club at that point, for sure.
No doubt.
EJ will talk trash to a doorknob. I promise you that. So, that definitely was your integration. Listen, we're gonna get into some kind of some not so great things in terms of both of our ball clubs, in terms of the Suns and Sixers and the timeline versus the process. But first, I think, since we're going to talk a lot about pain, I figured we'd start off by talking about love. So today, when you think, there's this basketball, I'm going to tell a story about this basketball here in a little bit, but when was the first moment you really you knew you loved basketball?
It was very early on in the 80s. And so my cousins, I have two older cousins and three older cousins and one uncle who really, and then I'll include my dad in there, that really, really pushed it for me, where they were good. I looked up to my older cousins and my uncle, and my dad would take me to the gym or out to the outside courts and, get some work in. And that's when I really knew that was for me.
Yeah.
I didn't know how good I would be. I didn't know if I was any good at all. I figured I could do some things out there on the floor, but those older cousins, they're all 3 years older than me. So, they're like my big brothers, and them being good, taking me out there on the court, having to work my way on the court with them, and then also them standing up and telling people, no, he's playing, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The big brother treatment of telling everybody else, no, he's out there, and then having to show that I was good enough to stay out there. It was really early, man. And obviously it's never left. Turned into work. And even though it's work, it doesn't feel like work because I still love it. Yeah. And that's how I got started.
That's
really,
how
really early.
That's how you have a good job, when it doesn't feel like it's work.
No,
right?
No.
That's the beautiful part about it. No. So for me, I was in here yesterday. I was kind of fumbling around the office because I have nothing else to do on the weekend. And so I came across this basketball that you guys had on your shelf. And this basketball is from the 1991 Final Four. This basketball is really significant because, first, I haven't seen it in well over 30 years. But it was one of the first basketballs I've ever had. When I was 10, 11 years old.
Yeah.
And that was right there at the same time I started kind of learning about basketball and started to play it. And we used to play with this in the backyard out in Whitman, Arizona. That's where I used to live. And for those of you that know where Whitman is, congratulations. You're like one of like 3. I think the population is like 200 people. I went to this little small school called Natterburg. Nobody literally means nothing burg in Spanish. You know what I mean? Like, so it was just small school, but we had a dirt lot in the back and there was a hoop and we played with this basketball out there in the back. That's kind of when I like started to develop my love for basketball. And coincidentally, the next week, so we had, since it was such a small school, like our PE teacher would put on these like little leagues during, recess.
Yeah.
And I played in one of those leagues and I didn't know what the zone was at the time. That was the first time I remember being in the zone because I don't think I missed.
Top of the zone or behind back end?
Oh, I was like anything I threw up was going in.
Okay.
I was I was locked in.
Okay.
And I didn't even really know how to shoot.
Okay.
It was pretty dope. So yeah.
I hope though it wasn't the mini basketball and it was actually the regulation size basketball.
It was regulation for those games, for those leagues, it was regulation, not the mini.
Because we've all played with the mini basketball out there when you're forced to, you
It's
don't have it.
Yeah.
You have to do what you have to do. But yes, as long as they were the regulation side.
Absolutely.
Got in the zone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of love, folks, I know you're not going to like to see this because a lot of you still are not happy about this individual, but there was a pretty big event last week. Bradley Beal getting remarried, if you will, or renewing his vows, a 10-year wedding anniversary. It was a who's guest list featuring another former Sun, this guy, Kevin Durant, in the squad. There he is with Al Harrington, and I think that's Draymond Green, and the whole squad. Looking dapper,
very clean.
Bradley Beal is just he's a stylish dude anyway.
He is.
Like his wife is beautiful. Like they're just a beautiful couple, and like that could just add to the jealousy or the envy that a lot of people have, or the hate that people have for him in Phoenix, obviously because of how things worked out for us. Not so great.
Did not work out so well.
No. It was kind of from the outside. I mean, you guys had your own issues. It's kind of weird. In the last 15 years, I don't think 2 franchises have ever mirrored each other so close like the Sixers and the Suns have over that course of time.
Yeah. Well, first, the Bradley Beal thing, there's a bit of a Sixers connection because he and Joel Embiid are very close from their Drew Hanlon ties and working out together and all. So with them being close before he was traded to the Suns, there was at least some scuttlebutt out there that maybe Joel was going to ask for Bradley Beal and not James Harden at that time. So who knows how things would have worked out had Beal been here in Philadelphia, Maxey and all. James Harden maybe goes elsewhere and certainly doesn't stay in Brooklyn, but who knows? As far as mirroring franchises, honestly, you know what? I mean, I'm not as in on the Suns. Obviously, I pay attention and watch from afar and see what's going on with the Suns. But the only thing, though, is you guys, at least star player, has had better health. And that's where I would look at of things a little bit differently because of the health issue that Joel Embiid has had versus Devin Booker. Sure, Devin Booker's missed time. Chris Paul during the finals run, he had missed time in key moments. Kevin Durant being injured. Bradley Beal not getting on the floor. But yeah, both teams have had their issues where you expected them to continue to be in contention in their respective conferences, push for a finals run, and just one thing after another for both franchises continue to happen. Ownership weirdness, ownership
we'll get
change,
into all that here in a second,
all of that stuff.
First of all, I also want to say thank you all for joining us today on this show. I see you all in chat. Gary, what's up, my guy?
What up, Gary?
A bunch of you, Amelia, always here, always repping. Appreciate you guys for taking some time out of your busy schedules to start your day, because it is 8 o'clock out there in Arizona as opposed to almost noon here. So we have a dedicated group of people that likes to come through here and watch this show. But also
get ready for work and
you might as well put us on in the back. Start your day off, take a shower, and just listen to us, because We're going to talk a lot about the timeline versus the process, but it's also a very special month here. For those of you who don't know, it is Big Brothers Big Sisters month, but it is the month of giving for Big Brothers Big Sisters. So if you have not had an opportunity to participate, you haven't had an opportunity to donate money to such a great cause, now is your time to do so. This entire month, we'll be challenging you to help us raise funds for Big Brothers Big Sisters, but we're also going to challenge you to become a big yourself, which is so impactful. I personally have gotten to the end of the process, and I have finally been matched up with a little myself. And so I will be meeting him for the first time when I come back from Philadelphia.
Very cool.
Here in a couple weeks. I'm very excited. A little kid named Michael, he's 13 years old. Very, very interesting kid. I'm really excited to meet him and try to do my part into giving back and helping the youth in our cities, with mentorship and fellowship and stuff like that. And so I'm really looking forward to that. And I know there's a lot of people here in this building as well that have participated and gone through that process. But no, I mean, Big Brothers Big Sisters is a fantastic organization.
Yeah, it is great to be partnered with it. Again, I know we did so a little bit earlier in the calendar year. So that opportunity to be partnered once again with Big Brothers Big Sisters is very cool. For sure. Yeah. So like I said, if you want to donate some money, all super chats are going to be donated. So you don't even have an option to do a super chat. You could just donate money right now with the link on our page. And then also, if you want to go to bbbs.org/ALLCITY, you could also participate in either donating money there or becoming a big yourself and learning more there. So appreciate you all. All right, well, let's get into it. Timeline versus the process. Yes.
Obviously, both these things, the more I kind of looked at it, listen, time has gone by. Some of these things you kind of forgot about. Some of these things you didn't. And so one of the things that I realized was that they both started in 2013 by hiring their new GMs in Sam Hinkie and Ryan McDonough, which I did not realize at the time. But we'll start off with the process.
Okay.
And this is kind of a timeline of the process. This is a loose timeline. This is not like every little detail that happened, but just so you all know, Sam Hinkie is hired in 2013 to basically revamp the Sixers. Then they drafted Jahlil Okafor and Rashawn Holmes at one point. They drafted Joel Embiid, Dario Saric, Jeremy Grant, and Joel Embiid and actually Dario Saric had battled injuries for the better part of their first 2 years with the Sixers, with Joel Embiid basically being non-existent those first 2 years to some degree. And then they drafted Michael Carter-Williams. That didn't work out so well. And then they traded Drew Holiday. That's really the kind of the catalyst of the start of the rebuild.
Yeah, it
was when they traded Drew Holiday to the Pelicans for a top 5 protected pick and Nerlens Noel. And other trades allowed to Philly to move on from the 5th to the 3rd pick with Sacramento in 2017, where they did draft Fultz. There's so much that happened, and then obviously the end of the Hinkie era, they started 1-21. Hinkie basically steps down, quote unquote. We know what happened there.
Yep.
And Brian Colangelo takes over the NBA franchise, and they ended up drafting Ben Simmons after that. So, I mean, a lot that happened during the process, and really, listen, this is the process was meant to kind of strip down and rebuild with young talent and the youth movement to some degree, but for a variety of different reasons, when you do that stuff, you have to nail the draft.
No doubt.
And I think when you look at both franchises, at least early on, that did not happen. And it didn't really happen. I would say more so for you guys than I would say for the Suns, which we'll get to, because, really outside of Joel Embiid, there wasn't, and Dario Saric, I'll give Dario some love. Dario was a benefiting factor, or a huge contributor to the franchise.
He was a contributor, and he was also a piece in them later on trading for Jimmy Butler in that Robert Covington, Dario Saric,
there you go,
and Jared Bayless deal.
Exactly. And so there was a lot of parts that that did work, but I think the sum of all parts never really helped Joel get to the NBA Finals or win a championship like might have been expected. When you look back at the process, what are some of the main takeaways you had?
Not hitting on the draft picks, number one. The fact that, look, they drafted 3 consecutive centers, and not consecutive, but they drafted 3 centers in that timeline from Okafor, Nerlens Noel, and Joel Embiid. They hit on the one, the other 2, not so much. And then you didn't even get a lot of back in the deal with those 2 players. While Okafor scored a lot of points on the bad team, it was really evident early that in today's NBA, or even in that time of the NBA, that he was basically a dinosaur, that was not going to be sustainable in the league. And you have one that could potentially be generational in Joel Embiid. You had to have luck there too. Broke his foot right before his workout with the Cleveland Cavaliers, folks. If you remember, they had the number 1 pick. The Sixers had number 3. It was Andrew Wiggins, Jabari Parker, Joel Embiid. Parker was already basically kind of sealed to Milwaukee, if you remember, at that time. And it was Andrew Wiggins, the number 1 pick, until this big guy, his teammate at Kansas, it's like, maybe they go in a different direction. And who knows what LeBron James's thoughts would have been at that time about drafting a rookie center and giving him some time out there on the floor, because we know what happened with Andrew Wiggins and trading for Kevin Love and all. But that just the bad luck that has been there for not hitting on any of those players. Then you move on to the injuries that started with the ACL of Nerlens Noel that kickstarted, as you pointed out, dropping him to number 6. Okay, no problem. Everybody was fine with that. See, what he was supposed to be the number 1 player in the country and number 1 pick. And we knew what happened. If it works out, that's pretty good. He has a defined skill. He can defend the rim.
Yeah.
He can run the floor as well. So there's a lot of good things there. But injuries start there. Embiid's injury. Fultz eventually having whatever was going on with his shoulder and that injury. And then even Ben Simmons, while there was no injury in college, it turned out, forget about the shooting aspect of it, it was really the injury that really pushed him back from being that all NBA, all defensive, all-star caliber player that we had seen for those 5 seasons. So it's not an excuse. I'm not making an excuse. I didn't make those picks, and I wasn't out there on the floor. I wasn't doing all those things. It's bad when you really go back and look at it, because they were still able to be a 50-win team and a second round contributor there, and then even be one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference, where people felt like they would represent the East in the NBA Finals, but things just kept happening. So when I think about the rebuild, by the way, I don't call it that because I was never on board with the whole thing in the first place. So I just call it the rebuild. I call it the rebuild. And with it,
is that also a Philly thing?
That's a me thing.
That's a you thing.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who are with me that did not want them to do what they did, what Sam Hinkie did, to tear it all down. Not the way that he did it and then try to extend it in the manner that he did.
Sure.
But I understand you have to do those things, but not to the the level that he did it and wanted to do it. He wanted a 10-year contract as a GM. Come on, man. So yeah, I look at it and I say a lot of missed opportunities with the draft, because that was the goal. This is, you tear it down to strike it with the draft, to strike it rich with the draft. They did not. They got one generational guy in Joel Embiid. You had a chance with Ben Simmons. But even with the fact that things went sideways with them, I mean, the evaluation was the evaluation. You still selected them, and it did not work out. And here we are today, where, we're basically at a crossroads of where the season is going to go, and what the rest of the franchise, what the future of the franchise is going to look like because of Embiid's injuries.
It's kind of crazy too, because you think about the Hinkie era, and then you let him go, and then a year. It was 2 years later, they get to the second round. And again, that bad luck. Oh my God. Talk about one of the most unbelievable bounces of a ball that you could possibly imagine in NBA history, when Kawhi Leonard hits that fadeaway jumper on the baseline against the Sixers. To this day,
quadruple bounce, man.
To this day, I'm sitting there, and the first thing I thought of when I saw that ball drop in was, that's great for Toronto, but what if I was a Sixers fan? Oh my gosh, the heartache And I think because of the way that unfolded and Embiid's immediate reaction, because he was inconsolable.
Oh, he was done.
He was a wreck.
Yeah.
And he was crying. He was upset, like understandably so, man. Like
Marc Gasol had to grab him and hug him and talk to him in his ear of it's going to be okay.
Oh my God, the journey that Joel Embiid's been through, to get to that point where you feel like you have the squad to win a title. Like they win that series, there's a very real possibility they end up winning a championship that year. And that's
Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, JJ Redick was starting 5.
Crazy. All Ben Simmons had to do was just this. There you go.
Yeah.
Go take that shot. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Oh man, brutal.
Tough one.
So obviously that history is I don't know if you want to say toxic, but it wasn't clean. But I will give Sam Hinkie a little bit of credit because I think the vision was there. And if the maneuverability of some of those, just the bad luck, and then also some of those trades, if I think after the fact, you saw some of those pieces kind of work out, especially when you're talking about like, Joel Embiid and then Ben Simmons being a result of one of those trades. Then you look at the Suns. Okay. Then you got the Suns and the timeline. The timeline again, Ryan McDonough gets hired in 2013. And it is just a slew.
Timeline.
A slew of movement and activity like you've never seen before. Because the whole purpose was, again, to strip it down to the studs and start all over. And so this is the timeline for the Phoenix Suns. So you started off with Ryan McDonough in 2013. And again, this is not every little detail, folks. So don't be crazy about this. Alex Len drafted number 5 overall in 2013. They trade for Eric Bledsoe, who then the next year gets a 5-year, $70 million extension. They draft TJ Warren and Tyler Ennis. Then they trade for Isaiah Thomas. Then they sign the Morris twins. Oh boy. And Marcus didn't even make it a year before he was traded away. They traded away Goran Dragic for Brandon Knight. Yes, Brandon Knight.
That's because Derrick Rose dunked on him in transition, and they had to get him out of Phoenix.
I mean, maybe I like to think that you should have never traded for Brandon Knight in the first time, because he got absolutely abused. To this day, the best alley-oop dunk I've ever seen in my life when DeAndre Jordan took his soul at the rim when he was playing for the Pistons. Anyway, they then extend him for 5 years and $70 million. Everybody gets a 5-year, $70 million deal in Phoenix.
With Ryan
Then the one thing they did do right in that time period was they did draft Devin Booker. Then they drafted Dragan Bender and Marquise Chris and Josh Jackson. Bledsoe tweets, "I don't want to be here." DeAndre Ayton is drafted by the Suns, and then McDonough is fired literally days before the 2018 season starts, which is kind of crazy. When I look back at the on the quote unquote the timeline, it's just a cluster of bad moves. Now, the other thing I did fail to mention is that they did draft DeAndre Ayton, but they also drafted Mikal Bridges that same draft. And that really was that started the core for their future. And so when you think about Ryan McDonough, we'll get to that later part, but in between all that mess of just really bad move after bad move, even trade wise and draft wise, that's right. If you're going to strip to the studs, you better know what you're looking for and you better know what you're doing.
Right.
When you draft a guy like Dragan Bender, who's supposed to be this, and it's kind of funny how every decision kind of played its part into ending really misfiring on what was a generational talent, which we'll get into in a second with Luka Doncic. They draft Dragan Bender, and he's just. I remember my first day, my first game, Suns game, covering it for Fox Sports Arizona. I was sitting on the sideline, and Dragan Bender came in off the bench. Threw the ball over Devin Booker's head in the corner, out of bounds, airballed the jump shot, dribbled the ball off his foot, and then threw another pass out of bounds in 4 consecutive possessions. And I tweeted from the Fox Sports Arizona account, that might have been the worst 4 possessions of basketball by a single individual I've ever seen in my life. And then I got called into the office the next day. So that was fun. So that was my Dragan Bender story. But like that whole run was just, and they had a couple moments, right? They had a 48-win season in there, and they looked like they could potentially make the playoffs. And 48 wins usually gets you into the playoffs, but they missed it.
That was the Bledsoe led team, right?
Yeah,
with the Morris twins.
Yeah. It was like they were solid, but it just didn't match up. Hornacek was the head coach. He gets fired. They bring in Earl Watson. That doesn't work out. It was just kind of a cluster. And when we talk about both of these, the draft is really where you got to start, because every misfire in the draft just was expounded because of the missteps in terms of movement from top to bottom. And when I will say this for both of those organizations and both of the ways they ended up going, as I said, the foundation was kind of set towards the end. So they kind of set up the guy who took over after that for success, because the Suns drafted DeAndre Ayton. Now, they drafted DeAndre Ayton largely because their owner was huge on DeAndre Ayton because he's a U of A guy.
Sure.
I was huge on DeAndre Ayton too. I think that I've not made any bones about that, because watching him in college, I just thought that he was a beast. He was a beast. And I didn't really see anything that would cause any concern on my end. But they also prevented Ryan McDonough from traveling to go see Luka Doncic in person. And I think that's where you made the biggest error of all time, because maybe if you do that, you draft Luka Doncic. But again, that's where Dragan Bender comes in. I don't think there's a lot of trust in Ryan McDonough's ability to evaluate talent. And so when you misfire on Marquise Chris, when you misfire on Dragan Bender, when Josh Jackson misses an event because he just doesn't want to go, and your new GM has to go and serve beer to folks at Fry's.
Yeah, that's not great.
Right. No, so, it's just a whole cluster of things that just went wrong for that organization. And it was just really sad to see, because you felt like, if they could just get a couple picks right, and they missed out on some big time prospects too.
Yeah. See, the Luka Doncic piece of it was, so they wouldn't let Ryan McDonough go check him out in person, but the scouts had already gone over during the season and watched them play. My issue there from afar was, yes, we all saw a DeAndre Ayton and understood why that made sense. But this guy was supposed to be, he's supposed to be the guy. And then later on, when you hire, what was it, Igor gets hired, and
Igor Koshov, yeah.
And Igor had already, he coached them over there and had direct knowledge of the player. He and Devin Booker wouldn't get in each other's way. They can play side by side, and it will work. That's where from afar, I was looking at it and saying, I like Ayton, and I understand you want to fortify your lineup and have a 5 in the NBA who can play back to the basket, who can defend the rim, and you feel like maybe he can develop that mid-range jump shot. He can run the floor, but Luka Doncic was supposed to be. And look, he did drop, right? So it's not like the other teams thereafter didn't. They also passed on him, but it was just the relationship that was there as to why are you not taking Luka Doncic at number one? And obviously you pointed out that the owner had a vested interest in the University of Arizona and all that, and DeAndre Ayton, and that's why you do it. Keep the hometown kids, sell some tickets, which you've already had some issues with. So you have to hit. And it's funny because I'll go back to the Michael Carter Williams piece. Nerlens Noel was drafted. Michael Carter Williams is selected at pick number 11.
Yeah, from Syracuse.
All right, if you're taking swings, because we don't know at the time, but like you're talking about scouting. One, let me say one more piece about the Okafor thing. There were discussions about should the Sixers take Kristaps Porzingis when you bring up Dragan Bender and what type of player that is. And because of Hinkie's reputation at that time and what the Sixers were doing and the bad things that were talked about how they were run, there's the infamous workout in Las Vegas with his agency, and they put on a workout for the teams, and they wouldn't let Sam Hinkie talk to him. Right? So that's where the relationships are key and big, and that's where it comes with the scouting and all that. And then, again, the Carter Williams piece at 11, while we didn't know, if you're taking swings, one we look at in hindsight, Giannis goes at 15 to the Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're taking swings, why not take a swing on that guy at pick number 11?
For sure.
Yeah. You're so low in the beginning stages of what you're doing in your rebuild. you take that. You might want to maybe take that guy and see if that works out too.
Yeah, listen, I saw every single game of DeAndre Ayton's in college, every single one. Saw every single home game. Traveled to every single Pac-12 game, a tournament game, and I traveled to the NCAA tournament. Like watching him in person, especially when you saw just the strength and the power that he had. He just he wasn't intimidated by anybody.
Yeah.
So when he got to the league and he was kind of like this, I don't know, like more of a finesse kind of player instead of a power player. Like it threw me all off. And that's when the red flags for me started. I was just like, did I have this wrong? Like that's not what I saw in college. Like it just like if you go back and you watch the Pac-12 tournament specifically,
right?
He was beasting dudes left and right. Like nobody could stop him. Not a single player in the country could stop him. That is just not a chance, right? Then they get to the NCAA tournament and they play against Buffalo, and Buffalo basically just spread everybody out and just shot the lights out. And like those games happen, they're a dime a dozen in the tournament, right? But like, so when I thought it was a no-brainer, I was like, there's no way you cannot go with DeAndre Ayton and take a flyer on a European prospect that, yeah, I get, like there's people that say, oh, well, he's a can't miss, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but how many European players has that been said about before,
but that doesn't mean you don't take them for your situation.
Sure. But
especially when there's intimate knowledge in the building.
But for the casual basketball fan or the fan
that's fair.
Listen, there's a little bit of bias for me because I am a U of A guy myself. But like my eyes were telling me a story that I believed. And I think that's where everything kind of went awry. However, despite that being said, the foundation was laid there. With Mikal Bridges and DeAndre Ayton, and then the subsequent year they draft Cam Johnson. And then they trade for Chris Paul.
Yeah.
And that's where they make the run to the NBA Finals. And seriously, like one specific move that happened or actually did not happen that should have happened
during that time,
during that 20
can I guess
the off season before we get to 2021. So we already have Chris Paul on lock. There's a free agent out there.
Oh, okay. I was going draft, but you
go ahead. What were you gonna
I
say?
was going draft because I know we'll talk about this later. I wanted them to draft a backup point guard for whenever it was done for Chris Paul.
Oh, we will get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that
all right. So you go with your free agent.
You're about to open up.
Okay, my bad.
It was actually.
And I am not lying when I said this at the time. I'm telling you.
No, everybody in Phoenix was
and I'm
all
not
over that train too.
Kind of, yeah.
It was Bobby Portis. They didn't want to pay Bobby Portis what Bobby Portis felt like he was worth. Subsequently, he goes to Milwaukee. And when we get to the NBA Finals and we play Milwaukee in the NBA Finals, Bobby Portis was a large reason why the Milwaukee Bucks ended up winning that championship instead of us. It's a crushing blow to understand like you're fractions away from winning the franchise's first title, and yet now you're so far away from that, and it's just really depressing. Going back to your point, Tyrese Halliburton.
There we go.
Oh my gosh! Like to this day, I remember my guy Espo and I. So we were on the solar panel, and they were. The solar panel was actually on Fox Sports Arizona for a period of time. And that's when I joined the solar panel with Dave King and rest in peace and Espo. And really that was the start of how PHNX came to be, by the way, just a little nugget.
A bit.
And we're sitting there and we're thinking it's got to be Tyrese Halliburton. They need
too much sense.
They need a point guard at the time.
Too much sense.
And they end up drafting Jalen Smith.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who?
Yeah.
And luckily we had Casey Jacobson on our show at that time. And he had seen Jalen Smith, and he said that he was going to be a good big. He's versatile and got some skills and blah, blah, blah. But when it was clearly evident in those early on years that the speed and power of the NBA was too much for him at the time.
Yep.
He didn't have a discernible skill set. I wouldn't even say he was a jack of all trades but I will say he was a master of none. And he couldn't get any run. And that, to me, is what really set the franchise back, because you could be in a completely different place right now.
Yeah.
If you have Tyrese Halliburton as your starting point guard.
No doubt about it. And because you had taken Ayton and you already done that, I understood maybe somebody who can play the 4 next to him can be his backup, and a guy who can run the floor. You can develop him in shooting threes as his career continues to move on. But you knew Chris Paul was already an older player. While he can still lead a team and do the things that he did and helping to get to the finals, it just made too much sense of not having to go from veteran guy each time, Javon Carter and Campaign, as good as they were, you take the young guy to groom him just in case it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy's a lottery pick. Yes, he's a little weird. He's got the weird jump shot and all that stuff, but he can run a team. He can pass the basketball. And as weird as the shots are, I mean, we saw Sean Marion in Phoenix for many years and it worked, right? And it was right there for them at that time.
Yeah.
And when he does get hurt, and Campaign was tremendous during that run in the postseason where, 20-plus point games, 30-point games and all. But as it continues to go along, and then you look at, wow, they could have had a Halliburton Booker backcourt for many years. Maybe you don't make some of those other moves because.
Well, you don't go get Bradley Beal, that's for sure.
Yeah, you don't do that. Cam Johnson maybe is still there. Who knows? Who knows what things might look like had they done things a little bit differently in that particular draft.
It almost makes me want to cry.
I'm sorry, Suns fans. My bad. See, I pay attention. Even though I'm in Philadelphia, I pay attention. And I was with you guys in that one.
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't know Halliburton was going to turn out to be this.
True.
But I thought you take that and see how it works out.
For sure. You have a relationship with Mikal Bridges. Obviously, you've watched him grow. You know what he's been all about. Like, what has been I don't like to talk about Mikal Bridges most of the time. And the reason why is not because I don't like Mikal Bridges. I think he's a fantastic player. He's a fantastic dude, even more. But every single time you talk about Mikal Bridges and you bring up Kevin Durant, you will have a section of people that will be like, you should have never traded Mikal Bridges, which to some degree I agree with. You shouldn't have. What you shouldn't have done is package Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and 4 first-round picks. That was the egregious part. Like, you didn't have to give up 4 first-round picks, but you got Kevin Durant. Everybody loves Mikal and Cam. Like, the twins is what they call them.
Yes.
They love Mikal. What have you liked from Mikal and his little journey from, obviously going from Phoenix to Brooklyn and now with the Knicks?
So for everybody, the reason why I was invested in the Tyrese Halliburton trade and all, I mean, the draft and all, is because everybody in the chat and the viewers, Mikal is my younger cousin. So these are not his thoughts. These were.
He did say younger cousin. He looks super young, and you're like, well, how much younger could he possibly be?
Yeah.
I was surprised.
Yeah. So he's my younger cousin. By the way, he just had his birthday over the weekend.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Everybody wish him a happy birthday. So with that, we were talking as family, not him, of, you got to get we're basketball people. So we're like, go get the point guard.
So even Mikal was like, let's go.
No, not Mikal.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Just like us and the family.
Gotcha.
That are watching. We keep Kale out of those.
I was like, oh, breaking news.
Even
Bridges wanted Tyrese Halliburton.
No. Never. We try not to talk about any of that stuff. Even in New York, we don't talk about anything. So, with watching his development, obviously, since you talk about the NBA, I go all the way back from when he was young, from his young early days to high school, then to college, and then to where he is today. And I've been really, really proud to watch how he's done it, how he's conducted himself. You talk about him being a really good guy. I love the fact that when I would see the videos of him and Campaign dancing and showing their personalities on the floor. The one video I remember went viral where DeAndre Ayton, and Campaign, I believe, were dancing with a young fan on the sideline and involving him on the sideline. And when people would ask me pre-draft while he was in Villanova, what kind of guy is he? And I'm like, he's very stoic on the floor, but he is a fun, clownish type of guy as a personality, and people are going to love him.
Yeah.
And that's what's great about him. So from my vantage point and from a relative, and seeing his career work out the way that it did, it was so crazy, Saul. You've been here more than I've been to Phoenix. But when I would go to Phoenix and watch those games, and I was specifically there because of my work around the Sixers and all, that I would only be able to really make playoff games. Once the Sixers were done, then I'm out there, you know, and all. But seeing people wearing this jersey, walking in the arena and they're wearing this jersey and they're saying, even I remember I was there for a playoff game. I think it was Game 5 against the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals. He did not have a good game. You even have to hear some tough things that they don't like. Yeah, and he didn't play well. And people were saying some things. I'm like, Devon, be quiet. Don't say anything. It is what it is. Right. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything. It's part of the game. I know how they feel about him. They like him. It is what it is. But to see his journey and to see him turn into the player that he is today, to be recognized the way that he is as a two-way player, to develop the things that there were questions, even as a lottery pick, that he couldn't do coming out of Villanova. He was a 3-and-D guy that can only shoot the three. Well, as great as he was during that finals run, I remember the 30-point game that he had. I still have the one picture where he's dunking and hanging on the rim. It's in my house. That was my favorite picture. But it's even when Booker and Paul were down and he had to kind of shoulder the responsibility as a scorer before that Kevin Durant trade. I will say this when I say we don't talk about inside stuff. There are a lot of times when I'm like, even today, Kel, just go, just do it. Don't pass it to Brunson. Don't pass it to Booker. Don't pass it to Chris Paul. He's very, very unselfish. And he always wants to do what he deems is the right thing for the team. And sometimes selfishly, it's like, Kel, you know you can score 25 easily. Go do it. And that's the thing. So seeing that translate to the NBA after seeing him do it for, his entire life and seeing it turn out the way that it has, man, it's been really gratifying. It's been satisfying. It's been great. And, I love my cousin, man. So it's fun. It's fun watching it. And to the point of earlier, you asked me about his dad is one of those cousins that I was talking about that taught me how to play and taught, his brothers, Kel's brothers, how to play. And one of them played Division III college. The other one played in high school. COVID stuff messed up him going to college and playing. And Kel was the one who busted through. Wow. And so we all lived through him, man, we all wanted to do it. Yeah. And he's the one that got through. So it's great.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's
it's really cool.
That's really cool. I appreciate you sharing that, man.
I
did not know that.
It's great, man.
Mikhail's always been a fan favorite. He'll always be a fan favorite because of just, like you said, the personality, and just his ability to be so versatile on the court. He definitely was not just a one-trick pony in Phoenix. He was able to he started to develop the midi. He would take it to the rack. And defensively, as we saw, especially in that Boston series this year, like defensively, you cannot sleep on Mikal Bridges anywhere on the court because he will find you. But listen, obviously, there's two other guys, that kind of are the cornerstones from that timeline and process era that have stuck around in Joel Embiid and Devin Booker, and it's a conundrum because. You want them to stay a part of your franchise, but you also understand that, especially for you guys and Joel Embiid, like, availability is the best ability. And when you're not available, what do you do? And that's a tough position to be in. But here's here's just kind of a side-by-side of both of those guys' journey in the NBA. Obviously you have Devin Booker's played 673 games, Joel Embiid 452 career points. Devin Booker's got 16,452. Joel Embiid 12,523. Again, this is really relative to the amount of games that they have played. Playoff wins: Devin Booker 25, Joel Embiid 29. Finals appearances: Devin Booker 1, Joel Embiid yet to make the finals. They both have 70-point games, and they did it two different ways. Devin Booker was the youngest player in NBA history to hit 70 points. Joel Embiid hits 70 points the quickest in a game in just 36 minutes. He had 70 points, which is basically 3/4. Crazy,
destroying them that year.
Just nuts. Yeah. He had, I think, he had like 5 games that year of 50+ points and 10 rebounds, and just an unbelievable dominant force that year. And then obviously he won the MVP that year, and Devin Booker has been close a couple times, but. Not quite. When you look at the legacies of both of these guys and maybe what the future has in store for them, where do you think it's going?
Clearly, right now, I think Devin Booker has the edge because if you even look at the career points and games played, Joel Embiid should be right there, if not, more than Booker because of the fact that just how talented of a scorer he is, how dominant he is as a player, that should be higher. And I think that legacy-wise, Booker staying with the franchise, and Joel, same thing here, staying with the franchise. But for what Booker has done as a 11th overall, 13th overall pick was he?
16th, 15th, 16th.
Yeah. Okay, and turning into the player that he is as a franchise player, an Olympian, getting them to the finals, multiple All-Star games, All NBA player, and also deciding to never leave. He's made Phoenix his home. He is the face of the franchise. He is one of the best players in franchise history. Very clear in integrating himself into the community the way that he has done. And so I think his legacy is going to speak. I think it's going to speak a little greater because while he's had injuries, they're not as detrimental as Joel Embiid's. And Joel is going to be a Hall of Famer. Joel is going to have a bunch of individual accolades and the team's success getting to the second round. We'll see what happens going forward with this team, maybe shifting a little bit more to a different type of offense with Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, with Paul George there and some of the other young guys. But I think legacy.
Edgecombe, my favorite player in the draft. Yes,
very good guy too. So I don't think, of course, neither one of these players, these guys, their legacy is. I think there'd be really good things to talk about both. But if neither get to the finals and win, that's certainly going to be a stain there, especially how the Booker one ended. Again, very vested in that one, and that game 5 with the play and getting it stolen, going the other way through Holiday to Giannis, and then going back to Milwaukee.
I mean, why you got to bring a post up, man?
It hurt for me too. Trust me, it hurt for me too. So yeah, just weird legacies for these two guys. But look, this is professional sports. This is the NBA. This is what happens. There are many Hall of Famers. There are many great players that have not won. And Joel's with the injury, that's going to be part of his resume. And that's unfortunate because he is really, really good, folks. And like you talked about watching that 70-point game, all those 50-point games, man, I remember one early in his career where they played the 2 games in LA and they played against the Lakers. It was Julius Randle, all those guys at that time. And that early, he had one of the best performances. That was my favorite Joel Embiid game to watch and go back to. I think it was like 43, maybe like 15 to 17 boards. He had multiple block shots, a couple of assists in that game, but it was just how he dominated. But I can also, because I watched Devin Booker so closely for a few years there, that how good he was as a shooter and how dominant he was because of that threat of that outside shot and then putting the ball on the floor and getting to the cup and finishing and then being a distributor and handing the ball off to a lot of guys too. Just some very interesting careers for these two. And I am very curious with the Booker piece though, because he still has so much left in him. Healthy, knock on wood. You gotta give him the bell too. That's part of our show, everybody. And because he doesn't seem like he's one that's gonna be, am I gonna be a ring chaser? That type of thing. I don't think Joel is either. I think Joel is just gonna ride it out here and see how it plays out. Maybe management does something that they feel like they need to do. I'm sure they would consult with him, but Booker seems like he's just one that I'm not gonna chase it. I hope I can win it here. I hope we can continue to try to tweak things and figure it out the right way to get it done. Interesting careers, man.
It is
because they're really good.
It is
really, really good.
It's very interesting because I consider Booker on like a top tier superstar, but not to the level of dominance of the elite, right? Like the Giannis's, the Lucas, where they're just like if they're on, there's nothing you could possibly do to stop them whatsoever.
Correct.
Like they're just you're done. You're toast.
Yeah.
Devin, I feel like he's right there. There are games where like he is unguardable, but I think from an athletic standpoint, he has certain limitations that have prevented him from being like that just unbelievable top tier face everywhere type of superstar. I think Devin Booker is wildly popular in Arizona, obviously in Phoenix. He's done so much for the Valley. But I do kind of look at him in that same vein of like a Larry Fitzgerald, where, I think at the end of the day, they're going to end up being loyal to the city. They're not going to want to leave. They're not going to go anywhere. They're going to try and ride it out. And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work.
Okay.
But and I think there's something admirable about that. However, there's another section of this where the fan base wants to win a championship. And if you're looking at a Devin Booker and you think that he's a piece that can get you other pieces to put you in a better position down the road, where does that really fall within the timeline, for lack of a better word, moving forward? And I think that's what right now is the consternation amongst this fan base. Right now, you don't really have much to really celebrate as a franchise, as you're moving on to a new coaching staff, a new GM. You've kind of revamped everything. You've gotten rid of KD and Beal, and you're kind of refocused on, building around Devin Booker with young pieces. And they missed that athleticism. They missed that youth over the course of the last couple of seasons, opting to try and put veterans around, three expensive players. Now they're going to kind of reset and go from there. And so it is kind of fascinating. And with Joel Embiid, man, it's just really, it's about the health, like if he never gets healthy, then I don't know if the Sixers ever get to where they want to go. Now, the other pieces though, the side piece of that is that it is allowing the other pieces like a Tyrese Maxey to develop at such a rate without him being involved that they got to own it themselves, right? They got to take over. They got to try and be that dominant person. So maybe by the time Joel Embiid comes back, the Sixers will be almost right back where they were a couple of years ago in contention, because the other pieces have developed so much. But that's a lot of hope and prayers.
Because it's so unclear of how many years Embiid has left.
Yeah.
Not even at the MVP level, just being 23 to 25 points, make sure you rebound, you defend the rim, and just being able to play basketball games. That's the question. Because I saw someone in the chat point out that Booker's going to have like 10 more seasons on his career than Embiid, just because the longevity is going to clearly be there for him versus Embiid, and the injuries that have really robbed a lot of things of his career. So I agree with you. The one question that we have here in Philadelphia, and while we know Maxey is a fantastic player, we've seen it already where he's had to be the guy. It hasn't been as clean. It hasn't been as successful as Booker has had in Phoenix. And, size, height difference, 6'5", 6'6" versus 6'2", 6'3", maybe 6'4". There's a difference there too. But when you're elite no matter what height you are. And that's the one question that hangs over Maxey a little bit. And that's why it's important for Embiid, even him just simply acknowledging the fact that, all right, I don't have to be the MVP every night. He trusts Tyrese Maxey. So can we be 1A, 1B, where maybe it's more Maxey being the 1A and me being the 1B, where I'm still being a dominant player. I'm still being very effective. I'm drawing a lot of attention because we already know who you are as a player.
For sure.
And that's where I think the development comes in.
Absolutely. We do have one super chat. Somehow, some way, Cycle Blue snuck through the cracks and got a super chat instead of a donation, but we'll fix that, Cycle Blue, because all these proceeds are going to Big Brothers Big Sisters today. The process would have worked if Hinkie had a little more time. The timeline only worked when it was completely and immediately abandoned.
So my thing with that was, again, I didn't dislike Sam Hinkie. I just didn't like the idea of how he was going about it, Psycho Blue. And with that, I don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because we already saw the draft picks that a few worked, the others didn't. And then when you're turning it around, I don't know what his evaluation is of free agent X and coming in to fit right in. I don't know that. And while it was, to your point, it was taken away from us finding out, there's also red flags for us to not have any faith that it was going to work because of the things that happened with the draft. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to say that in hindsight, but again, you just never know who's going to be pulling the trigger in what direction. Listen, every GM values different things.
Sure.
So to just assume that things would have worked out, I think that might be a little bit of a stretch, but we do appreciate the $10 super chat regardless.
Thank you, Psycho
and the donation to Big Brothers Big Sisters. Before we go, we got kind of do a little bit of a trivia challenge because, you know, obviously you're a Philly guy. I'm an Arizona guy. I say Arizona because I don't just rep Phoenix. I also rep my beloved city of Tucson, much to the dismay of a lot of the Phoenix peeps. But I'm a U of A guy, so I'm gonna rep.
There you go.
And I've lived all over the state of Arizona, so I'm an Arizona guy. We're gonna ask you 5 questions about my state, and then we're gonna ask me 5 questions about your state, and we're gonna see a little bit of a challenge here. Cool.
Oh man. Yeah.
All right, Shane.
Hey everybody.
Go on, Shane. That's
How you doing?
the mustache
What's
behind
up,
the
Shane?
Mac.
Okay, so since we're shorter on time and since I couldn't find enough questions about Philadelphia, we're only going to go with 3 each.
Okay.
If that's
cool.
okay. So we'll alternate back and forth. So we'll start with you. Phoenix has more miles of blank than Amsterdam and Venice combined.
Phoenix has more miles of Amsterdam and Venice. I don't know.
Ooh, I'll answer that.
What, ocean water? I don't know.
I would say canals.
Canals?
That's correct.
Hey, look at that.
See, I didn't explore Phoenix
know.
enough to know the canals to know. Oh,
Yeah, we got canals like every other block. It feels like.
Listen, I went where they told me to go.
Go ahead, Shane.
All right.
Yeah, the canal system in Phoenix is goated.
Okay.
Philadelphia has the most of these type art installations across all of the U.S. and I think maybe city in the world.
Wait, has what?
The most type of these art installations.
Art
installations. I mean, art installations.
There could be a better way to phrase this, but
yeah.
I have a guess, but I don't know.
Monuments.
No.
I'll go with murals.
Yep, most murals.
Murals, that's true.
Okay.
I feel like on every block, the side of every building has a mural on it.
Talented people here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Okay.
What is the hottest Phoenix has ever reached?
No, it's hot as ever when I was out there.
I remember this day.
I think I talked to you guys about this at one point. I don't know if it was Espo, you 125?
Oh, so close. 122.
2. Okay.
Correct.
I knew it was really hot.
June of 1991, I believe, was
Yep, that is right. If there's one thing Phoenix people love, it's knowing how hot it is here.
It's true.
Two people in the chat got this right. Also, hello, getting sassy with me. Yes, I understand. There's a lot of stuff about Philadelphia. I have a full-time job that isn't Trivia Master. Okay, going back to Philadelphia, this area was originally called what as a colony, tying it to this European country?
Oh my God, Jesus!
Can you repeat? Can you say that again?
This area was originally called what as a colony, tying it to this European country. It also shares the same colors in their flag a bit with this country.
Man, I have no idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm lost on this one.
Yeah, what is it, Shane?
New Sweden.
Sweden. Okay.
Okay.
Interesting. All right.
Got me on that one.
All right.
Final
Last Arizona one for Devon.
I don't like it.
For Arizona and Phoenix. What comedy movie released in 1989 was filmed in Phoenix and Arizona?
Comedy movie, 1989.
I don't think he's gonna get this one.
And I'm sure I'll know the movie, but in Phoenix, comedy movie, 1989.
The movie is based on time traveling.
Back to the Future?
Kind of time traveling. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah, it was at a Circle K actually. There's a Circle
Famous
K.
Circle K. Yeah, shout out Circle K.
Fair.
Yeah.
As I think of it, yeah. Okay.
I forgot about the time travel. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sure Philly people know that they had their first, the first zoo ever was in Philadelphia. But what type of institution did Ben Franklin and Thomas Bond establish, making it the first of its kind in Philadelphia?
A planetarium?
The hospital.
Oh. Damn, Brent Franklin was like,
he was busy, man.
He was the GOAT.
Yeah, he was busy.
Hey, electricity.
Yeah, can we talk about that instead of like screw LeBron and Jordan? Was Ben Franklin the GOAT?
He might have been the GOAT. He might have been the GOAT. Like he might have been the GOAT. But we do appreciate you all for joining us on this edition of Outside Shots. Thanks to my guy Devon Givens for joining me. Check them out. PHLY Sixers. They go every single day at 2 o'clock here local.
3 p.m. local.
3 p.m. local, which is 12 o'clock for us back in Arizona. And next week, Eddie will be back. Obviously, when we go on Tuesdays, we can't mess with EJ's golf time. So that's what happened today. But next Monday, we'll be back. Same time, same bat channel. Until next time, folks, we love y'all. Peace.
See ya.